Your sensors are correct. Do not adjust your heading. You've discovered the Omega Particle, streaming to the Alpha Quadrant and beyond. Here's your host, the Anchorman of the Federation, the Doctor of Dilithium. This is Jonathan Wiegand.
Welcome to the Omega Particle Podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Wiegand, like the man said, the Anchorman of the Federation. And today we are reporting on a bunch of stuff, which I'm sure you've heard about, but of course, we have to comment on it. Like I said, Anchorman of the Federation and all. Man, we've got some wild news that came out Cinemacon a couple weeks ago. Before we get in all that crazy news, we're going to start this episode on a somber tone today, and that is we wanted to cover some sad news, which I'm sure you've heard about a few weeks ago, and that is O.J. Simpson, one of the greatest running backs in the history of football, died of cancer at the age of 76. And in a statement, the Simpson family expressed just a lot of gratitude that their father was able to go peacefully at the end, unlike that ex-wife and waiter he violently murdered. That was a setup. I was enjoying that. Speaking of things getting murdered, I cannot believe that they canceled Lower Decks. I mean, they extended other shows. We'll get into it. And they announced some new Trek movies, which of course is interesting and can be a fun topic. I have a lot to say, so buckle up, everybody. Plus giving you that A+ insight that you deserve, the beautiful intelligence audience that you are. And I asked your opinions on Instagram this week, and boy, you guys did not hold back, especially on Lower Decks and this new prequel movie. Do you know who also didn't hold back? OJ, when he killed his wife and Ron Goldman. I don't know. What? Luna the intern is looking at me. Look, I think it's topical. I feel like we owe it, to the late, great Norm Macdonald to throw out some OJ jokes. If you feel it's offensive, don't be. I think we just want to bring awareness to prostate cancer. And that is what O.J. Simpson died of. Again, a couple weeks ago in April 2024, he died of prostate cancer. And sadly, cancer remains one of the top killers in the United States, ranking just ahead of O.J. Simpson. Okay, all right. That's the last one. Boy. I think that's all the ones we can fit in the episode today. That's the last OJ joke. Speaking of TV stars and pandemonium, Luna, if you're looking for a good recommendation, my wife and I, we just finished Conan O'Brien Must Go, and it was freaking fantastic. I loved every second of it. It's my type of silly, stupid humor, so please check that out if you have HBO Max. I'm sorry, it's just Max now, because that really rolls off the tongue. So it's on Max, so I highly recommend that. It's not really Trekky, but it definitely will lift your spirits and make you forget if you have any troubles in this world. But, Luna, we're not here to talk about Conan O'Brien or O.J. Simpson. We're here to talk about all this new craziness that has been announced in Trek this past couple weeks. So, without further ado, Luna, roll that beautiful bean footage. So yes, Cinemacon was at the beginning of the month. I think it was that second week of April. And there was a lot of cool, crazy announcements. I think they announced a new Twister movie, or they showed off some shots of the new Twister movie, which as a 90s kid, I'm very excited about. But Paramount Pictures confirmed that there is going to be a new live-action Star Trek movie. It's in the works, and they kind of presented on it. During this announcement, the CEO of Paramount titled it Star Trek Origin. I guess it's kind of the working title they're going to be going with, and it's going to be directed by Toby Haynes and written by Seth Grahame-Smith. And Toby Haynes has done Black Mirror and Andor, and then Grahame-Smith has done Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and the Lego Batman movie. I know. I think we're in good hands. I don't think Andor was freaking fantastic in Star Wars. So I think if he can direct that, we definitely can get maybe a good Trek origin. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, meh. But Lego Batman movie I've heard was fantastic. Again, jasontalksmovies.wordpress.com. He has a great review on that, I'm sure. Maybe from 5-6 years ago when the movie came out. But Paramount is targeting a 2025-2026 release for the film. And it has been described as an origin film that's going to be set decades before the events of the 2009 J.J. Abrams feature. So yes, this is not going to be a fourth sequel in the Abrams Prime universe, whatever, which is a good thing because I can't get in. I just don't like the Abrams movies. I thought the way they did Into Darkness and then the last one was just very forgettable. And it just, praise the Lord we didn't have these back in the 60s and 70s when they came out, because who knows where Star Trek would be if we had that kind of quality coming out back then. Is that this pretty much cements there will be no more sequels at all. That the Abrams universe is over and that they're pretty much just going to go forward with these prequels. Which is great. I'm happy about. That whole prequel nonsense, if you're unaware, has just been going wild since 2016's Star Trek Beyond. It's just, they're doing it, they're not doing it. It's like a bad relationship where you're on again, off again, on again, off again. And it just needs to die. The very first movie was the most decent one with Nero, Chris Hemsworth playing Kirk's father for that 3-minute period at the beginning. But that was about it. The other two are very forgettable. So don't watch them if you haven't. You're not missing anything. We haven't gotten any specific plot details, timelines, or cast members yet, outside of it being a 10-year prequel-esque. It's supposed to have a whole new cast of characters and probably references connecting it to the other Trek films. It's supposed to be filming at the end of this year in 2024. Overall, my thoughts on this Trek prequel is I don't like it. Plain and simple. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy here. I'm not trying to be a poopy Polly. It's just, I feel like prequel, that's all we've been getting since freaking Jonathan Archer's is prequels or just complete reboots. And it's I don't want that anymore. Even Picard season 1 and season 2, for all of the mistakes and the shortfallings they came through, at least it was advancing the Federation timeline. At least it was doing something. And okay, maybe I'm thinking of Discovery, and I'm like, okay, Discovery is just, it's hard to watch. And if you like Discovery, awesome. If you like the Abrams movies, awesome. I'm not gonna poop on you for liking stuff. That's good. Good for you. I don't care. We're all in the same family. We're all in the Trek fandom. We're all gathered around the fire with Papa Picard, drinking hot Earl Grey tea. We're all in the same universe. Yeah, we're gonna have disagreements, but that's okay. Again, it's okay. We don't have to be violently passionate. If somebody likes something else, who cares? Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant, but I feel like the prequels, they put us in a timeline crunch. And even look at Discovery. This was Discovery. We're going to do 100 years before Kirk, and it's gonna be great. And then they made it 2-3 seasons, and they're like, F that. We're gonna fast forward 1,000 years into the Federation, because they get into this time crunch where they have to start playing by the rules, and they have all of these canon events, and it's very difficult to come up with a new story. So they just, like Discovery, kick the can 1,000 years down the road. And so now it's we're doing this again, and now it's a movie, and they want to probably do the big franchise with 5 or 6 freaking films, and it'll be everywhere. And now if it was Star Trek Academy, and they were up and coming, and they're trying to get into the best starship, and we see them make it and then rise up from lower decks, that would be cool. I'd be okay with that. But then again, that's not what we're gonna do. They're gonna have the shameless Easter egg plugs. Somebody's luggage is gonna say Kirk, terrible Easter eggs that we'll freak out of in the movie. My question to the people at Paramount. Why not do a legacy project? I mean, the fans, we are salivating like a fat kid at a buffet. We are just and I can say that as a fat kid growing up. We are salivating for a legacy project, whether that's Star Trek Legacy, lack of a better name, with Jerry Ryan being the captain of the Enterprise, or something, maybe even with like DS9 or Voyager, or just anything that we could just connect to this silver age of Star Trek from the 90s and advance that forward. I mean, look at the success of Picard Season 3, some of the best Star Trek we've ever gotten. Why not put the band back together and do that for a movie? And there's been talks they might be doing that, blah, blah, blah. But stick with that. Don't do this prequel nonsense. And, I mean, why abandon that? I don't know. But I think the world would be interesting to peek in on. You know, after the events of Picard Season 3, I think if we had good screenwriting and good plot development and, you know, basic fundamentals of a good movie, I think we could do it. But I just feel like this is a lazy cash grab, kind of like what we saw with the Abrams universe. I'm not happy about that. That's kind of lame and terrible. I put this question out on Instagram to, you know, the beautiful audience, all of you out there. And I was like, what is your opinion of the prequel movie that's coming out? Some people's kind of like what I said. A couple people were like, Star Trek Legacy. Seven is my heaven specifically said, I want Legacy. Another Legacy with Seven and Rafi. I don't know, just wish they'd greenlight Star Trek Legacy already. Speaking of the TV show. Somebody's very great comment. Please don't ruin it like you did Discovery. Another great one. Another origin movie? Really? And I mean, and there's some positive ones. You know, there's like somebody was like, I'm very stoked about this. We need more Trek cinema. Do we really need another prequel? Kill it with fire. About time for a movie, but another reboot? Question mark. Enough already. Stop. It'll never happen. We're a very uplifting fan base. I don't know if you've seen it. It'd be a lot cooler if it was a Lower Decks movie. Thumbs down. Oh no. Bad idea. Better have space boobs in it. So, overall, kind of my feelings, not overly enthusiastic about it. Will we see it? Yes. But no one I think is excited for this project. And yeah, freaking greenlight Legacy already. Just do it. If you haven't, let me know your thoughts. Please send them out to Instagram. I love to hear from you guys anytime. But let's get into the real big meat of the subject I am most passionate about, and that is Lower Decks getting canceled. Overall thoughts are, number one, why? From what I could see, apparently viewership may not have been what they wanted for the show. But if they're not going to release that information to us, I feel like that's a cheap way out. To say, oh, it's the viewership, low viewership, sorry guys. But from the people I talk to, and the beautiful audience that you are, I think people really like Lower Decks. There is a compassionate, loyal fan base for that show. And I'm one of them. Like, Lower Decks was probably, outside of Picard Season 3, was probably the only Trek show that I watched on a weekly basis. Because, get this, it's lighthearted and fun. It was this love letter to Star Trek. And I haven't really heard any bad speak from Trek fans about it too much. I mean, you get a couple nuts, you know, in the fruit salad every now and then to be like, I don't like it, it should be more serious. Trek shouldn't be entertaining, it should be challenging our thoughts. And I'm like, look, it's a comedy show. It's a freaking cartoon. It's okay to have fun. I feel like with them canceling this, now we don't have that. Now it's Strange New Worlds, Discovery's ending. Apparently we're going to be getting some other shows coming down the pipeline, but now it's just, again, we're losing that fun side of us. I'm kind of sad about it because I love Lower Decks. It's been great. I think the cast and crew do a great job. There's been a couple rumors floating around that, you know, maybe it'll be picked up by another network. And I know some people are holding out hope. Oh, it's going to be picked up by another network. It's going to happen. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, I'm telling you, I am a big Star Trek fan, but I'm also a business guy. They could do that with Prodigy because Prodigy was very cheap, easy to sell because it wasn't expensive to make, should I say, instead of cheap. And so that they could just find a quick buyer. You know, they're going to make some money off of it, going to get some viewers out of it, but it maybe some new subscribers. But it's not going to be, they're going to make money. Maybe not a lot on their gross margin on the show. Something like Lower Decks is very expensive with the cast and the crew that they have. It's going to be a lot harder to break even with a show like Lower Decks. I hope I'm wrong. I hope people send me messages 6 months from now when Netflix picks up Lower Decks and say, you moron. Netflix picked it up. You know nothing of business or scholarly education, sir. And I'll be like, thank you. Of course, totally. I hope I'm wrong. But I just don't see it happening. I just don't. And I'm sorry. I just don't. The next thing that I've been hearing is maybe a live action adaptation. I would just poop my pants if that happened. It's a family show, Luna. Relax. I would just be overjoyed with it being a live action adaptation because, and don't tell me if wherever you're at in the world right now listening, or should I say the quadrant, wherever you're at listening, it has been done before. Look, there was the original series, and then there was the cartoon. And even in the original series cartoon, the holodeck was introduced, even though I think it was just like a snowstorm. It still counts. So, and then they brought that idea to TNG. But it has been done before, bringing cartoon and then bringing them back for the movie. So maybe they'll get a movie, or maybe they'll have a live action series. But with that, it's not as easy as one might think. I mean, now obviously, live action take on Lower Decks, they're going to have a lot of tweaks compared to the original. Namely, there's a lot of cartoonish antics that would need to be toned down that play really well, and those gags do really well in animation, but they don't translate effectively in live action. Plus, there would have to be a possibility that certain characters would have to be recast as well, beloved characters. Whether it's because of scheduling issues or current voice actors or, whatever, the studio deciding that other people would be better fit for playing the roles. It's not going to be identical to what we have in the cartoon. And, I mean, there's some precedents. Look what Star Wars did with Clone Wars and characters like Saw Gerrera and Ahsoka Tano. I feel like, of course, Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsome will be brought back 1,000%. I mean, you can't have the show without those two. Plus, folks like Devane Attendee, Sam Rutherford. I think they could be played by Noel and Eugene. Personally, I think it would fit. Who cares? Those hurdles aside, I think it's worth more to Paramount to maybe take the jump to move it from animation to live action, because it's going where no Star Trek really has gone before too much. I mean, original series, one thing like I mentioned, but I think this would be a great opportunity to loop in Star Trek fans who only pay attention to live action shows. And there are fans that way. I know I have a buddy of mine who never watches anything Star Wars cartoon-wise. I'm like, bro, you're missing out a lot of great freaking content. Just same with the Star Trek fans listening right now. If you've never watched Lower Decks and you have a great sense of humor, watch Lower Decks. It is a love letter to Star Trek, specifically DS9. So please check that out. Going again, we can go through some responses on Instagram. Now these were a little bit spicier than the other ones, will I say? Heartbroken, BS. My eyes are red, sad, very saddening, angry, gonna light a trash can on fire. Total trash decision. Well, that's 2 trash comments. Hard to understand the decision. A lot of no's. Feels homophobic. Don't understand that comment. Too bad they didn't cancel Discovery sooner and use the money for Lower Decks. Sad, just sad. Worst Paramount decision in years. No, there's so much more to say. Don't let it end. Stupid Paramount, moving in a long line of stupid Paramount decision. Devastated. Yeah, sad. A lot of no's. I dislike this crap. Best new Star Trek in years. And then my final comment, probably the funniest one, somebody commented, I prefer upper deckers anyway. Classy fan base. Just kidding. If you don't know what an upper decker is, I'm not going to explain it, but it involves a toilet. That's all I'm going to say. You poop in the tank. That's what an upper decker is. Nothing but the most highbrow, intellectual, esteemed comedy and humor here. Again, I shared a lot with everyone's responses as well. It is devastating and awful and terrible. And I'm not happy about it. It's a really bad decision to go through. But one really quick story before we end the episode, and that is I wanted to comment on this crazy story that I just heard about a few days ago. So the original Star Trek Enterprise model that they use on the original series was apparently returned to the Roddenberry family. You're like, well, why does that matter, Jonathan? And I'd be like, it matters because it's been lost forever. It's been lost for literally like 30, 40 years. And I think even longer than that, Luna. It's been, are the show notes wrong? So it's been gone for like 60 plus years since the show came out. Okay, wow. So it went missing during production of Star Trek The Motion Picture. And then we haven't heard about it since. Holy crap. Just suddenly appeared on an eBay auction. So people were grinding and working their resell and be like, hey, this is an original series, the original Enterprise model. Obviously, after it was put on eBay, it was quickly removed because it drew a lot of attention from everybody around. Even Gene Roddenberry's son, Rod, and his brother, Kurt and Rod. Yep. They even were like, hey, we've been in contact with the owner since last November, and we've been trying to work past several months to get it and working through an auction house to get it from them to authenticate it. And apparently now it is in the possession of the Roddenberrys, and their plan is to put it in a museum somewhere, which would be really sweet. The Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., they have like an original series model, and it's massive. And I think it's in the gift shop now. It used to be in the foyer. So if you're in D.C. or planning to take a trip to D.C. anytime soon, the Air and Space Museum, go to the gift shop. I think it's in the back, or I think it's on the second level. Last time I went, it was on the second level. And it's just like behind this glass box, and you can see it. It's really cool, and you might be the only person in your group that think it's really cool. But go and see it, take some pictures. It's neat. But yeah, so we've had this long lost model come out of nowhere, and now it's back in the Roddenberry family. So hopefully, maybe we'll get to see it on display somewhere. But that has been News and Brews this week. Again, thank you all so much for listening. And Luna, let's wrap it up. Again, thank you all so much for listening. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on anything that you listen to, whether that's an old radio from the Fallout series all the way up to Apple and Spotify, Amazon, whatever. It would really mean a lot to us here at the podcast to do that. So thank you all. And as always, feel free to check out our great friend of the show, Jason's blog. It's www.jasontalksmovies.wordpress.com. Always coming out with great, interesting stuff. He just dropped a couple new reviews since our last episode, so please go check it out there. And as always, remember to keep your mental health on check. Take a walk, talk to a friend, talk to a loved one. You're here, you're important. We want you here, and the world wouldn't be the same without you. With that being said, second star to the right, straight on till morning.